All right, so we're nearing the end of the actual development portion of our DBT project. We've covered a lot. So we've learned how to build, test, add seeds, documentation, all this stuff. And real quick, before we move into automation and CI/CD, I want us to just bring it all together and show how this would run in a normal workflow just manually. And then I'll also show you something new that DBT has added that actually makes it even easier. All right, so a traditional workflow of DBT, it's imagine you have your project, you just want to run it from scratch, is to first run your seeds, do a DBT seed, followed by a DBT run, and then you test your models. So let's go through that process and just see it work end to end. So we'll start with DBT seed. And one thing to point out here with DBT again, and this will come into play as we move into automation, the idea is that the projects can be run at any point, at any moment, and the results should always be the same. I believe the term is independent, something like that, where it's essentially regardless of the scenario and when you run it, the result should always be the same, assuming your project stays the same. And that comes into play again a little bit later. Okay, so we have the seeds that ran. Now let's do a DBT. Now we'll do a DBT run. We're going to run this here for dev, but obviously as we've covered, we could do a target prod and it would run there as well. Okay, so all of our models ran, and now we'll do a DBT test. Looks like we have a failure. This is one of the new ones. You know, we could actually look at this one here and run this query if we wanted to. This is exactly what it runs. There's 8 records that don't match. Whoops. Let's look at this. So there's 8 that have the value yes, which is underscore, meaning if we did yes, it would pass because it's not accounting for the uppercase there. So that's how you would fix that. We would have to go in and make those all uppercase. So I'll just do this real quick. And that would correct this here. If we were to redeploy and run that, that would correct it because we would only get those values. But now what I want to show is, so that's how you would do, those are the 3 main steps that you would run. But there's actually a shortcut here. There's something recently introduced that's called DBT build. And like it says here, it's going to do all these things. It's going to run your models, run your tests. We didn't really cover snapshots in this training, but that's something you could look at. And then seeds. So it's going to run all of these, but it's going to do it all in one command. So we can do DBT build, and let's see what happens. So what's really interesting about this is it does it in order of when it's needed. So, you know, it deploying all of the staging models, and then it realizes the seed isn't needed until a little bit later, you know, until after that. So then it loads the seed, it runs all the tests against the staging models, and then it moves on to the warehouses and all this other stuff. And then it runs the assertion test. So it's going in order for you rather than you trying to pick and choose when things run. So that's a very simple way to run everything all in one command. Again, back to the viewpoint with just one command, DBT build. Now that we've covered everything about the project that we need to, we'll move on to CI/CD and scheduling and create some automated workflows in GitHub to mimic what we just did, but do it in an automated fashion. So I'll see you at the next section.